Hey everyone, we've been finding tons of tricks on my live streams this week, but since not everybody watches those, I've decided to compile here all of the main tips and tricks that can make building much easier if you're struggling a little bit with the UI. I also recommend you watch the first video in the series where I explain the basic initial mechanics like how to unlock abilities, how to level up, how to use the abilities, and so on. Okay, so I'll start here with a crash course on building, and then I'll share more advanced tips as we go on. First of all, you will need to talk to Posy every day. All of your essentials are managed by her. So don't forget that you can teleport directly to Posy by clicking here and selecting Astral Tree. When you select Astral Tree, you can simply teleport, and you will appear right in front of Posy, as well as of the astral tree, which you should try to hit every single day to get some extra astralites. The only thing you need to prioritize every single day is maxing up your daily home insight. To do that, you can just do the activities around the house. The best one to start the day with is the star catching. As you star catch all of the 5 or 6 stars per day, you will get a minimum of 50 insight right away. Then you will need only 50 more insight, which you can do by planting, fish keeping, animal listening, and so on. If you already hit the daily insight, you do not need to water your flowers, at least not at the first few days where you can only plant tulips. This is because watering will give you just insight and save you a few minutes, but if you don't plan to log in into the game every few minutes, then it doesn't really matter. So you can simply let the time run as you go on with your busy day, and you don't need to waste time watering every single flower. You also don't need to go to Posy to buy the seeds. You can simply buy them here on the plot itself by using astralites. Not only that, but you can also craft furniture without the materials, also using astralites. So for example, let me say I want to craft this that utilizes fish and stones. This fish will only be unlocked if I level up my fish keeping ability. And these stones are given by the animals, so I would need to level up my animal listening ability. Instead of doing all of that, I can simply craft using astralites. So here it says that I need 5,000 astralites to replenish all of these materials, 25 stone and 5 kilo fish, to craft this item. The price will change for each item depending on how many mats you have. For example, Dancing Bibcon statue is a purple rarity item, but because the only thing I need is a couple flowers, then the price to replenish it's quite small. So truly, there are some furniture pieces that is more worth you buying with astralites than actually planting those flowers to craft. So your focus should be creating a astralites income rather than planting to craft, which is really good news because it means we can craft tons of furniture without having to wait and wait for flowers to grow, fish to grow, and so on. Speaking of leveling up, a lot of people ask me, Moon, what is the best ability to level up at first? And I'll answer you, it depends on your gameplay experience. Do not worry, you will technically need every single ability leveled up to be able to create and craft everything. Like I just showed you, you can use astralites to pay for the materials that you don't have. So truly, the best thing for you is to create a sustainable way to earn astralites for you. So if you enjoy fishing, then fish keeping is going to be the best. If you love the gardening and you already got the fusion, which allows you to garden and plant all the seeds at once, then gardening and planting ability will definitely be the best one for you. If you don't have time to play the game at all, and you can only log in once a day and play for like 10 minutes, star collecting may be the best option for you because it's the least time consuming and it only happens once a day. If you have a lot of time to log into the game all the time during the day, then animal listening may be a good option. Or if you just truly enjoy the mini game and petting the animals and so on. For me personally, building is the most important above all, and I really wanted to unlock all of the special tools for the creation of my builds and rooms and landscaping. So as you can see, I'm on level 5 of building And once I level up to 6, I'll get free resize. So let's talk about the things that you unlock when you're leveling up. A lot of people saw me building on my live streams and were confused because they didn't have the same options that I did to fully customize my build experience. And again, that's why I chose building to level up, because for me, having full control over my builds is more important than making the income already, since I have the most enjoyment from creating builds itself. So I can just go into building modes and create tons of builds and save them as a scheme, and once I have the materials, astralites, I can finally build them, or I can at least share with others. So that's more important for me personally. Things that I've unlocked so far are flipping construction, flying around the island, which is super fun, rotating, resizing, and also getting the decor catalogs. But I will explain all of these settings and customization options in a minute. But before we do that, I want to just explain to you 2 last quick tips. First is, if you need an urgent income of astralites, do not just go around and sell all of your flowers yet. What you can do is go here to Yardling Purchase, select quality, quantity, or whatever filters you need to find yourself, and pick up 1 or 2 trees from the world to sell them. Do not sell all of it because you will not be able to craft those until you level up your building ability. But if you pick like 2 free trees, you can get 50,000 astralites right away, and it won't make much of a difference. But again, do not sell all of your trees, you will regret it. And lastly, if you will get one of your daily star catching stars stuck on a tree like this, it's quite easy. You can simply enter building modes, select the tree, and move it around. When the tree is outside of the building zone like this, then all you need to do is go to your map and teleport around the island, and the star will be fallen on the ground. Now let's do a building crash course where I'll explain to you every single tool here so you can go on and test for yourself later. First of all, do not ignore the schemes option. So when you click here on this button on the right top corner, you will open the schemes and combination menu. So here you can save your entire island as a scheme to reutilize later. The best tip here is, before you start building, save a scheme of your island. If you do anything that you regret, you can just restore it back to what it was as a backup file. This is almost like a save file in another video game. So use these. You have 10 slots, you can delete them and overwrite them. Second is the combination tool, where you can save, instead of the entire island, just a small builds, like a living room. For example, here you can see that I have flattened my entire islands. I have saved a scheme though of my first cottage test. So if I click on the cottage test and click use a scheme, you will get some notifications. You can ignore all of those. It's just telling you that you will lose your fish and harvest if you haven't collected them, and also letting you know that you don't have all of the island areas expanded yet. But none of that really matters. And as you can see, I've got the entire island scheme back on. But if I use the combination instead and I import a task that I've done, now I have just this as a scheme here. Now, if you've done some sort of mistake or deleted an item or terrain and you didn't do a backup on the schemes yet, then I have created one code for the default island for each server that I have an account on. So on the pinned comment of this video, you will find a default islands codes for every single server in case you need it. Sometimes you may find yourself stuck underground or on some object while you were building. To recover, you simply need to click here on the top right corner and click recover from stuck, and it will save you and teleport you to a safe area. For the schemes and combinations, it's also important to keep in mind that you can save a scheme and combination even with things that you do not own. So for example, I can get this wall here and I can click to dye it and change the color of it however I want it without spending the rainbow paint. I can still go to the schemes and create a combination and save it, even though I don't have that paint or I don't have that wall and so on. So you can use these schemes almost like a plan or a craft list for yourself. You can build your dream home, have fun, test it out, And later, you can just check all of the items that you need. If you do want to save permanently, you do have all of the items and you can't for some reason, it could be a problem furniture or a die scheme that you do not own. Could also be a bug on the server like it happened yesterday, but that is going to be much more rare. Usually it is a problem with your build. To resolve this, it's super easy. You simply need to use the button Locate, which is also on the top right corner. When you click here, you have tons of very useful functions. For example, let's say I placed a animal lodge on my islands and I have no idea where the heck it is. Maybe I put it underground, maybe I decorated it 1 month ago and I don't remember now. I can simply click on Scene Locate and it will tell me exactly where it is. As you can see, there is a little chair icon here next to me. As I move around, the chair icon also moves. It's indicating to me where the animal lodge is. It's right there. So you can follow this to find all of your items in the world, no matter where they are. Then if you want to cancel, you simply need to search for the item again and click Cancel Locate. What you can also do in this menu that is the most useful of all is clicking in Problem Decoration. So if you have a problem decoration that is preventing you from saving, it will show up here. For example, if I get an item that I do not own, like the fountain, and I place it on my islands, and I try to save, I'm not going to be able to. So I can click Locate and Problem Decoration. As you can see, the entire fountain pieces are all here as problem decorations. If you don't know where they are, click on them and click Scene Locate. Again, it will show you exactly where it is. Now you may be wondering, how did you get your island to be all flat like this? And it's super easy, literally the click of a button. You go here to N again, and click on Clear All. This will quite literally clear every single item, piece of terrain, tree, shrub, everything from your entire unlocked areas of the island. Keyword here is unlocked. So for example, if you only unlocked the center base area and you click on Clear All, it's only going to clear this area. If you have everything unlocked here, it's going to clear all everything. You cannot choose how much you want to clear. It will clear everything that you own. But if you don't own an area, then it's not going to clear. As you can see, my mountain is still there and my forest is still there. What I've done is I clicked Clear All before I unlocked the forest. This was on purpose. I wanted a flat land to test the builds, practice, create groups and schemes, but I didn't want to clear the forest because I didn't want to place every single tree again because I know I want a forest for my builds. And again, you can simply create a clear all scheme in your list. So every time you are going to unlock a new area, you can hit clear all first, save as a scheme, do not save the whole build so you don't lose time, and then unlock the area. Then you can clear all again and create a new scheme and so on. This will help you to get more resources quickly and also have a tiny little zone for you to practice. Another question that I get a lot is, what does the delete mean? A lot of people think that if you click delete, it's actually deleting the item. It's not. The choice of wording was not ideal, but when you click delete, the item is simply going to your storage. Example, let me pick up a wall here. I'm gonna place it. As you can see, I have 19 walls available on the inventory. Now I'm going to delete this wall. And now I have 20. This is true for every single item. If I place this here, I only have one of this, and I delete it, I have it back. Which brings me to another very important tool, which is your inventory. You should click here and explore all of the options. You have many, and they are all very useful for you when you're building, including a search function if you want to search for a specific item. You can also filter, for example, if you have it in stock or out of stock or to be crafted. So this is also very useful. If you're decorating and you want to use only what you already have, then you can filter in stock. You can also select the recent and quality filters like you do with outfits. I'll explain briefly here, but again, I do recommend you open the bag and just explore and try to learn. This is muscle memory. It's the same experience of you trying to learn a new software or a new game. For the first tab, you have the presets from the game. So for example, you have Nikki's entire home as a preset to utilize it. You also have these other ones, like for example, the furniture set with the detective stuff, which is super cute, and you can place it to see the objects before you commit to obtain them, for example. You also have the brushes with presets for other tools like structural items like fences and walls and so on. On your second tab, you will be using this a lot initially. Here will be all of your plots and pawns and so on. If you level up your abilities with Posy, she will sometimes gift you a new plot or a new pawns. They will go directly to your inventory, and you can find them here. On the second tab, we have live function for crafting tools, which is where your crafting table will be. Because of the icon, I think that the cooking related appliances will also be here once we get the cooking ability outfit, which should be at the end of this month. And on the last one is the animal listening ability items, such as the animal lodges, for you to place the animals in your island. On this item is simply furniture. You have beds, tables, cabinets, chairs, lamps of all kinds, and also others, which is the ones that don't fit in the other categories. Here is a decorative furniture, but it also has the interactive furniture, which you may find really useful. For example, you have dolls, but you also have the gramophones, like your Stardew Valley gramophone will also be here, and the available props. Not all of the props are available right now, unfortunately, only very few. If you want to know if your prop is available or not, it should now have a tag on it saying home furniture. Here on these, you can also find the gifts that you receive from other people. So the gifts that you craft to gift each other are actual pieces of furniture that can be placed in your island, which is really, really cute and cool. For movement, it depends on how high is your building level. If you have only the basic building level, you shall have only one fusion available, which is this one with the star platform. Here on the bottom right corner, you can see your movement options, which tells you that when you float, you can create a platform underneath you using the T button on computer. For example, I can jump, float, and press T, and I'll create a platform. The cool thing about these platforms is that you can create as many as you want. You can keep creating them in whatever place you want, and you can also edit them to move them around and create a build using them if you want. These are super fun because they are essentially free structural items. You can clip them into each other and make free floors for yourself or free foundations. Or you could, for example, stack them and make a star-shaped tower if you want to, like a wizard tower or something like that. So you can use these, you can save, and they will stay permanently on your island. So again, it's almost like a free structural item that you can use without limits. Now, if you go here and you press and hold R button or whatever button it is for you, you can change between fusions. As you can see, now I have another fusion here. This is because I leveled up my building ability outfit. Since I leveled it up and created the fusion with the gliding, I can now use this other movement option, which is essentially being able to fly around your islands when I'm in building modes. So I'll press R, and now I'm flying, as you can see. Here, you can hover over permanently for how long you want, and you can fly around in the entire unlockable areas that you have. You can also fly all the way up to the sky if you want. As you can see, you can build really, really high up if you want. You can make a floating house, you can make a super gigantic tower. It doesn't matter. The height is quite tall, at least in my opinion. It truly surpassed my expectations, to be honest. I didn't really expect us to be able to build so high. But yeah, you can fly around, you can stop mid-air, you can do your builds very, very comfortably. I personally think this is the best fusion. Even if you're not building, it is fun. Another thing that you can do with this fusion is that instead of having the star platforms, you can press T to create a whole road if you want. These roads can be used as paving or bridges in the sky if you want to. Again, free and unlimited. To use them, you need to press T, and now they are activated. Wherever you go with your gliding will make a bridge behind you. To stop making a bridge, you need to press T or reach the maximum length. As you can see, now I have a bridge behind me. Now let's get into the most important aspect of building Infinity Nikki. It is the settings menu. This is everything that you need. Every single problem that you're having with building can be solved with the Advanced Settings tab. Truly, seriously, most of the questions that I receive are all things that you can resolve with the Advanced Settings. Although a small reminder that some of these settings are only unlocked when you level up your building ability outfit. So keep that in mind if you see an option here that you do not have. So let me give you an example and test every single one of them so you can easily visualize those. But also, I do want to say that the best way for you to learn a new piece of software, game, or whatever is trying it out yourself. But I hope this is a good way to test all of the capabilities. First of all, you have tabs for furniture and structures. I'll be honest, sometimes I don't know what the item is, so I just change both. And over time, you will kind of like figure out the logic behind what is a furniture piece and what is a structural piece. Best rule of thumb is looking here, which in the structural tab, you can find all of the structural items. What I'm not usually sure about is the landscape one. Sometimes I feel like the landscape tree items are following the furniture rules, not the structural rules. So just keep that in mind in case you change something and you don't see the difference. Now let's use the sofa as an example to test every single setting so you can see the difference. I'll open my settings tab, and first of all, right away, you can turn on and off the floating. This is exactly as it sounds like. I'll turn my floating off. Now I cannot place this furniture piece while hovering. If I go back to my settings and I click allow floating on, then I can place anywhere I want to. So this is very useful. And most of the time you will have this on, but sometimes it's worth not having the floating on, especially if you want to align things to the ground. Next is the collision settings, which is your best friend and will be used in conjunction to the floating. Here you have three options: no collision, ground collision, and all collisions. So I'll put a sofa here on the floor. As you can see, I cannot clip it through the ground, right? And if I try to place another sofa, this sofa cannot touch the other sofa. I need to leave them separated from each other. But if I go to my settings and I say ground collision only, then I can place my sofa inside another sofa, but I cannot clip it through the grounds. So here, I'll do this, and as you can see, they're both placed there, but they still align to the floor. Keep in mind that the ground is only the flat floor you see. The terrain pieces, like the little mounds and cliffs, they do not count as ground collision. And lastly, you have no collision at all, which allows you to do crazy stuff, like putting a sofa underneath the ground like that, which can be fun too if you want to create new furniture pieces using the ones that you have. Then we have the single movement distance, and this is one that you will be changing constantly as well. All the time you'll be seeing here this tab. I have it most of the time on the number 1, which means that I can get my furniture pieces and truly choose which centimeter I want to place it in. I can really toggle and do this like really detailed movement. If I go to settings and increase it to 50, for example, then I can't move freely anymore. The furniture piece will be following the grid. You may not be able to see the grid, but the grid exists and is there. So right now, I can only move in the grid. As you can see, it's a snapping automatically of sorts. If I increase that number, I have even less control of the movement. It's moving a lot quicker and a bigger distance now, as you can see. And if we increase a little bit more, even worse. As you can see, with a single small movement that I do, it moves a long distance. So this is super useful for you to snap items into each other. For example, if you place an item following the grids and you want to snap another one into that, the easiest way may be putting the single movement distance to a small number, like 50 or 1, for example. And you can place another sofa, and it's easy to adjust to the grid, as you can see. If you want even more control and even more detail, you can put to the number 1, which is what I prefer personally. and you can truly choose the angle that you want to place that in. I imagine in computer that's a lot better, and people who play on mobile and controllers will probably prefer to use on the 50 most of the time, so it's easier for you to place without moving too much your joystick, for example. Then we have another one that is super important, which is the single rotation distance, and that follows the same logic as the movement distance one. So here I have it on the number 1. As you can see, if I get my sofa, I can truly rotate centimeter by centimeter and put in the exact angle of rotation that I want. If I press F10 and I increase that number to 15, I'll be rotating this on 15 degrees. As you can see, I'm rotating with a lot less control. If I increase the number 45 degrees, even less control as well. And if I put on 90 degrees, it's also moving only 4 times, as you can see. This may sound like it's not useful at the start, but it really is for your structural and building pieces. As you can see, if you do a single number 1 rotation, the chances of you doing a completely tilted house like I did first time are big. The best thing for these pieces are going to your single rotation distance and putting on 90 degrees or 45. These two will help you to make a fully aligned house. Then you may have the free axis rotation. Again, you need to level up your building ability outfit to unlock this one. Mine is on, so I'll show you how it works. I'll get my sofa, and as you can see on the right corner here, you can toggle the rotation axis. So I can rotate horizontally, or I can rotate using my left control vertically. Any item, any furniture piece that you want, you can rotate like that. And I can also rotate sideways like that. So you have full control, full rotation. If you want to do like an Alice in Wonderland crazy build with floating items like that, you also can. Then we have the placement range. I personally like the close placement range most of the time for most of the items, but you may be having to choose and change this from time to time as well. I have on the close, which means if I try to place a sofa, it will be really close to me. I cannot place it far away. As you can see, when I try to move further, it just moves up instead. So here in this location, with the close range, I can place my sofa this far. If I increase the placement range now to mid, then when I try to place my sofa, as you can see, it's going a lot farther. And for the far away one, it will go even more far away. So it's literally how distance can you place things, but it also means how distant you can delete things. And that's why I keep it on the close. I am, like you already also did, probably have deleted terrain ground pieces underneath your builds. And there is nothing more painful than that because they have not implemented the Ctrl-Z button yet. If you are constantly hasty and deleting things around, the best thing you can do is go to your F10 and place everything on close range for furniture and especially structures. So here, I can't delete that sofa anymore because my placement range and my delete range is small. I can only delete this sofa. If I try to delete that one, I can't. If I increase my placement range, then now I can not delete that one, but I can delete this one. And if I increase my placement range again, I can delete that one far away, which is usually the source of most problems. Lastly, here we have the rotate together. Mine is always on because I find that easier, which means if you have a group of items, so for example, I'll make a group here, and you click to rotate them, they will rotate together. But if you click on F10 and you turn off the rotation together, then you're only going to rotate a single item at once. My structures, at the moment, I have one extra option, which is enable snapping. And the snapping is basically gluing together two pieces of items. So for example, snapping is on. If I try to put another wall, my wall, if I get closer to the other wall, it will connect automatically. As you can see, there was a little click there, a little glue. It's automatically snapping to that item. If you want to control better the snapping, but the single rotation, single movement distance on the smallest numbers. If you increase these numbers, sometimes what can happen is that your collision and snapping will snap to the wrong items because it's on another grid. So if you feel like you're struggling to snap to the item that you want, go to F10 and decrease these numbers so you have more control of what you want to snap onto. If you turn off the snapping, then when you get closer, it's not going to snap. I can position this wherever I want. So you will probably change this quite often for your builds as well. Then we have the edit options in general. As you can see here, we have the multi-select option to create groups of items, which we can also save as combinations. We also have edit and copy and delete. Reminder, when you delete an item, it simply goes to your inventory. When you click copy, well, you copy the item, even if you don't have it on stock. So pay attention to the fact that you may not have that item yet and you try to save it and you place more items than you possess. Another thing that you can do with the copy, which is really cool, is press and hold your button and then you can stack automatically snapping things however you want. So here I can make a little cinema there with all of the chairs. What you can also do, like I said, is multi-select to make a group. So for example, I can put 2 sofas and then I click button V and I click button V again on this other item. Now, when I click edit, they are a group, which I can rotate or press H button to save as a scheme on all of my combinations and scheme settings. When I have this group, I can also click on the button group to permanently group them. Now, even if I try to select one of them individually, they're not going to leave the group. Just please keep in mind that if you try to delete a group item, then it's going to delete the whole group. So if I try to delete only this sofa, it's going to delete both of them. So be careful with what you group and try to not forget what you've grouped around. The last option that you're going to have is when you click edit, you also have the rotation, of course, but also the dye. And when you click C and you try to dye, you can choose the colors of the item. To choose the color, you will need to spend rainbow paint, which you can craft using the flowers, or you can exchange for astralites, which, if my math is right, it's better to spend astralites instead of crafting. You will need a lot of flowers to craft it, and the flowers sell for more astralites than you would spend buying here. So I think that most of all, crafting is just for insights and level and doing the furniture pieces that you really want, not for the extra stuff. The extra stuff, sometimes it's more worth it to spend astralites instead, especially if you have a bonus on that week on a flower that you're planting. One problem that I have been receiving a lot though with the dye is that a lot of people are saying, I can't dye stuff because when I click edit, everything moves around. And I have a very easy tip for you. This does not need to happen. Simply cancel your positioning. For example, if I get the sofa and I click edit because I want to change the color, I can move it around this blue sofa, press dye, change it to a red sofa, and instead of clicking twice to confirm the placement, I'm going to click only once, and I'm not going to confirm the placement. I am simply going to press cancel. The sofa will return to its original location and rotation, but with the new color, it's not blue anymore. Now, for some pro tricks and small little hacks, one really good tip that I want to bring up that I didn't find myself, it was actually Sarah on my Discord server. Thank you so much for sharing this tip. It's for the quests on the Dreamland Chronicles. If you're struggling to complete your weekly points and you see quests like, for example, successfully dye any item 3 times, that doesn't mean you need to save it and complete it. You can just dye the item and not save. This will still count towards your tasks. So for example, you go here to the building, you get the furniture, you click to add it, you change the color, and you place the furniture. That's enough. You don't need to save. You can just press leave and click do not save, and it will still count for your tasks. Also, keep in mind that some items are interactable. For example, the lamps can be turned on and off, the chairs can be sat on, and you can actually rest on your bed if you want to. Nikki will pick up her purple and stay in the bed most of the time with Momo next to her. And if you press your camera options, you have actual hidden poses for your bed. There is this one, very cute. This one, also very cute. And this one as well. And if you deactivate them, she will go back to the purple. And of course, you have more specific items like the gramophones, which can play music, and also the mannequins where you can place your clothes, both dresses and shirts, which also keeps the effect of the clothes. So for example, Timeless Melody will keep the music animation of the Feywish sprites around her, even though it's just on the mannequin, which is really, really cool. You can, for example, have a very princess dress kind of mannequin with the origami birds flying around, or you can do what I did and use the mermaid dress if you have it, and make a fake waterfall for your pawns. You can also make fake shopkeepers if you put a stall around her, or you could dye certain outfits to look like ghosts and float them around. Also, don't forget you can rotate items in all axes over time if you level up your building ability outfit, and then this allows you to place things in different ways, like for example make cabinets using shelves and so on. Or you could clip ponds and trees underground to make a river effect, for example using the pond. As you can see here, this is like a full-on pond item, but placed as it is, it looks almost like a little river. You can also use the clipping to clip stuff together, like for example, put your plots inside the ponds so it looks like a rice field. You could also get the ponds and stack them and they would look like a little onsen or waterfall like I'm doing for my house. And lastly, this is actually unrelated to the building, but this is a question that I get a lot. It's about the gramophone for Stardew Valley. A lot of people say, Moni, please help me. My gramophone makes a weird noise. And this is actually just a filter. You need to turn it off. Maybe you turned it on accidentally or the game came by default activated. But if you're hearing a weird noise, it's because you have the chicken gramophone on. Just go here and click off and you will not hear the weird noise anymore. And that's it for today, but as I learn more, I will share more videos. I have a playlist at the moment with all of the home guides, so I really recommend you check that out. I'll link that down on the pinned comment as well. I'll also make a deep dive video on each ability, so feel free to check those out, and I hope this was helpful. And don't forget, keep calm, don't be hasty, just test things out, and once you are done with this learning curve, you will make the most out of this building system, which has a lot of potential. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one.
Ryan Little.